My name's Tom Abraham. This is my son David. Shake doesn't know this, but I am now a first responder with the U.S. government. What we do is we train dogs for police, for prison, so on and so forth, kind of as a give back to the community. I come out and I do dog demonstrations, maybe pique your guys' interest. If you got any questions, all good? All right, we'll go grab the dogs and we'll get started.
All right.
A scout is looking to recruit a basketball player into professional basketball. What's he looking for in an individual?
Solomon just said Ben. He just pointed at Ben.
Okay,
So
go for it.
what's Ben for you guys?
He's a good basketball player.
He's fast.
Say that again?
He's a good basketball player.
Yes, absolutely. So when you're looking at a professional to recruit, you're looking that he has the raw instincts, right? You're looking that he's a natural at the game. You're looking that he has the skills that you're looking for. They may have to be refined, but a trained eye can see, you know what, that guy's got it. The way he moves, his gait, how he shoots. Same thing with us. When we bring on a dog, we know whether that dog has what it takes to make it on the police department or the military or whatever. Because you see her, she's already wanting to send these boxes and I haven't even told her to. I can't train a dog to do that. She has to have the desire to work. Like you guys gotta have the desire to get up in the morning and get out here because you love basketball. So if you gotta force a dog to do something, that's the wrong dog to put into the job. Dog has to want to do it on its own. It's got to be excited. It's got to have enthusiasm to do work. It's going to be the same thing with you guys in life. You got to find something that you love doing, that you're enthused about, and then it won't be work, and yet you get paid for it. I know that sounds easy, but you know that's the base foundation. Like when you build a house, you got to put down a foundation, right? All the fancy stuff comes after, but if the foundation ain't strong, ain't nothing going good after that. All right, so what we're gonna do now is get the dog to scent that box. I brought the metal box, like I said, that has the scents that we want. And then I'm gonna get one of you guys to come and drop that metal box into one of the boxes and switch them up. Dogs can't tell when you switch things up. They're just gonna go strictly by their nose. All right, sit. And see how she's already amped to go? That's what I wanna see. I wanna see that enthusiasm. Okay, now, hang on a second here. Okay, who wants to participate? Okay, young man there in the back. Come on out. All right, give him that box, Dave. Yep, hey, sit. Okay, just bring it over to the dog for a real quick sec, buddy. Let her smell it. That's good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take her, I'm going to put her behind her so she can't see what you're doing. Is that the box there? Yeah. Okay. That's okay, let her work in. I never rush the dog, right? She's got to show me. The honest truth is, guys, she should have actually found it for me by now. But hey, that's why we call it training. Find the gun, buddy. Find me the gun. Shoot it. Girl. That's the girl. Good girl. Good girl. Oh, yeah. Good girl. That's a good girl. Where's the buddy? Got it. Good girl. Good girl. Where's the buddy? No. Where's the buddy? Where's the buddy? Show me the gun. Good girl. Okay, you finally found it. That's how we start training a dog to find guns. Okay, lots of encouragement, show her the scent, tell her what you want. All right? Now, Dave's gonna talk to you for a minute. I'm gonna put this beast away. All right? I'll be right back.
So I heard somebody asking what's in the box. So firearms have black powder, gunpowder in all firearms. That's what sends the bullet through the barrel. There's 3 different types of gunpowder. There's black powder, smokeless single base, and smokeless double base. Those are the basics for even explosive detection training. So once this dog is done in firearms, it'll also be done in explosive detection.
Because he's working and you interfere with his work, right? That's like you guys are running a game and then I show up, in the middle of the game with my dog. Like, what the heck? Right? You don't do that. So the dog's working, the dog's working. Okay, come on, you guys got to put some questions at us. I'm getting tired of talking. Okay, go ahead.
My dog isn't that trained.
No?
But when I have nothing in my hand and I say sit, he does sit.
As long as he makes you happy, that's all that matters. Yes, sir.
How long does it take to train a dog?
Generally speaking, about 14 to 18 months if you start with a puppy. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, human scent, different than any other scent. So we train the dog specific to human scent, and yeah, no, the dogs don't get mixed up because the human body is the only being that gives off a certain source of odor, unlike any other animal.
Can you talk more about the training process? Like, do you put them into periods of where they're not doing anything for them to kind of think, for them to just settle down and be not stimulated and take in the training they just did? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question and comment. And yes, so to answer that, if we do something and the dog's successful, we end it at that. You never want to end off on a negative note and put the dog away as a failure. You always want to end it off as a positive note, and if the dog just did something and it was a training exercise and you put the dog away, yeah, that confirms in the dog mind that the handler was very happy with what I just did. So that's a great observation. So as far as training's concerned, like I said, yeah, go ahead.
You said that you put them away. Do you also give treats?
Oh, it's a great question. A lot of people ask that. So we don't give our dogs treats per se because anybody can give a dog a treat, but nobody can replace me or him. So what we like to do is we like to praise our dogs with our smell and our hand and our voice. This way the dog becomes more bonded to the individual as opposed to looking for free food from everybody. So a treat or a bowl or something, a lot of people use it, and I'm not against it. If it works, it works, but our train of thought is anybody can have a ball, anybody can have a treat, but nobody can replace me or him or whoever the handler is. So that way, when the dog's out in the bush and the handler calls, that dog beelines back to you because he knows you and he knows your voice. And we don't want them getting distracted. You're doing a track around McDonald's. Can you imagine that? And the dog's treat oriented. Well, there goes your track. Question. Yeah, go ahead.
How long do they train? How often?
Another great question. So training is training, but when you have a working dog, it's actually more or less a lifestyle. So we do actual training, where we're training the dog in a certain scent, this and that. But say, for example, I'm going now to fill up fuel. So what I might do is I might open up my back door, open the kennel door, and tell the dog to stay as I pump fuel. Well, this too is training, right? So the dog's just learning. Okay, when we're still and there's no action going on, Dad says to stay, I gotta stay. So it's kind of a lifestyle thing. It's like, if you want to be a professional basketball player, you watch what you eat, what you're watching, visual, what's going through your mind, who your friends are, then the actual training on the court. So it becomes a lifestyle to you, and you envision yourself being in the NBA, and that's how it is with dogs.
Even once you get into the NBA, you never stop training, right?
So it's a great question. Really good question. So yes, there are definite training times, and then the whole thing is, as a canine handler or a working dog, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. As we're training, yes, but we do hand these dogs off to other officers. Dogs in their psyche, they make the switch real quick. Whoever feeds them and who's ever alpha over them, dogs in their psyche have to belong to a pack. So if I was to take a wolf from Ontario that belonged to a pack here in Ontario, airlifted it and dropped it off in BC, the first thing that wolf would do is try and integrate into another pack of wolves, because in their mind, without a pack, they can't survive. So depending on how that pack member accepts accepts the new guy, that's where he'll fall in line, A, B, C, or D. The same thing, when we transfer a dog from us to another officer, our smells, our sights, our sound are gone. Now it's just the officer and him. Because the dog in his psyche has to belong to a pack, that guy takes lead and charge and starts feeding that dog. Within 2 weeks, that dog is his. Because the dog thinks it's going to die on its own. You want to be police. I knew you knew what you wanted to be. I just knew that. See, you got that temperament about you. You got that for sureness about you. That's awesome. Anybody else got an idea? Nice. I can see that. I can see that. Yes. NBA player. There you go. I better get your autograph now, man.
Basketball, bro.
Anybody else got any dreams or hopes? It's okay. You don't have to tell me. You know what? It's always good to have a dream in your heart.
I want to play with professional basketball. Overseas, that would be nice.
Nice. Well, you're with the right man here. That's for sure. All right. Any other doggy questions? I don't want to bore you guys or hold you up. Go ahead.
What is something that you learned about yourself or people by working so much with dogs?
Wow, great question. So, I'll tell you a real quick story here. Okay. So when I first got into dogs, which was many years ago, I was going to a church and there was a fellow there that worked at a prison. So naturally, I approached him and I said, "Hey, Andy, you got any dogs at the prison?" He goes, "No, I got no dogs there." I said, "Why not?" I said, "Dogs can track people if they escape, if weapons come in, drugs, cell phones. You guys should have a dog." He goes, "Okay, never thought about that." I said, "Can I come in and demonstrate what my dog can do at your prison?" He called me the week after and he says, "Yep." He says, "Come on down." He says, "We got it all set up." So I knew nothing about this jail. I knew nothing. I'm there to sell a dog, right? So I'm going with my dog. I get to this prison and nowhere to lie. It's like Hollywood. Like, the fences are up to here. They got all that, that crazy wire that cuts you. And I'm like, holy smokes, like, wow, this is a jail, man. And so I get there and I check in with the gate and they got to buzz me in. And then Andy meets me outside and every steel door we had to go through, they had to buzz us through. So I was like, wow. And then he's showing me maximum security. He's showing me these cells that they keep prisoners in where they can't even flush the toilet. The guard on the outside behind his counter, he flushes toilet A or toilet C. Like, they don't even have the ability to do that. Like, this was maximum security. So I'm like, wow, this is pretty scary, right? And so anyways, then I walk into the gym and there is, I didn't know this, but this was a youth gym. So youth means anywhere between the ages of 12 and 18. And in Canada, if you're in prison by the Canadian government and you're a youth, you've done something pretty bad. Okay? So I get there and there's close to 300 people waiting for me. I've never done a dog demonstration in my life. And this was about, I'm going to say, 16 years ago. So I look at my dog and I say, "Max, buddy, we can't screw up today." And I brought boxes just like that. Okay, and I put the boxes out there and I did the scent work. I was pretty nervous. And then anyways, after the demonstration, these kids had all sorts of questions for me. They were all criminally based questions, naturally. Hey, if I'm running from a dog and I'm in the bush and I hit the water, can the dog still find me? Yes, because your smell surfaces to the top and the dog's gonna tell me that you crossed there. Oh, if I hide drugs and I got it saran wrapped in caffeine and so on and so forth, can the dog still find it? Yes, because dogs don't smell like you and me. They smell everything separately. You'll smell the saran wrap, caffeine, and the drugs. The dogs smell things separate, not like you and me smell together. So anyways, I knew I had their attention because there's no way they were going to ask these questions because they were well thought out questions, and I appreciated that. And in the end, I said, "Listen, guys," I said, "I was told by my buddy when I come down to do the demonstration that it was okay to come as long as I had a positive word for you. And the positive word that I got is, you've all got raw instincts. Some of you guys buy drugs for cheap, sell them hot. You know what? In the real world, you're a businessman, just the wrong product. Some of you guys, are in here because you're fighting with cops. I said, instead of fighting with cops, join the police. Instead of taking a life, join the fire hall, kick down a door and save a life. Instead of gang banging outside." So I don't know, the message hit home and something hit me, like when I was talking to those young guys. I went home, it was a 2-hour drive, and I had a lot of thinking to do. I was like, wow, that was life-changing for me, to be honest with you. Andy called me a couple days later. He said, listen, we can't buy the dog. We don't have it in the budget. But, he says, the guys are still talking about you and the dog. Can you come out and do some volunteer work? And I'm like, oh man, to a businessman, those are not words he wants to hear. Volunteer? That means zero money, man. So then I went to my wife and I says, hey, this is what they're saying. What do you want? She says, well, do what your heart says. 16 years ago, here we are today. Still do the jails, still do this whenever I can. Moving on. So that's what's kind of opened up for me, besides doing the dogs and the dog training and policing and all that business. So that's a sector that I didn't expect at all, but I'm very grateful that it did. Enjoy your summer, be good in school. All right?
All right, we'll spend another 2 minutes here, and then we're back on the court.